Act enthusiastic, and you will become enthusiastic.
Hello. This is radio. Is this? Hello.
I know you don't have time to talk to your plants, so I'm going to talk to them for you. You can go on about your business, whether that's to class or the office, or fixing dinner, or making love. Don't worry. They'll listen to me. Let's begin. Poor little Ivy. Do you speak English, Ivy? What's your problem? Why are you so droopy? Oh, I see why. Your person really poured the water to you. You don't like wet feet, do you? I know you love humidity, but you look like you're standing in a rice paddy. We'll put you in this east window and let the sun dry you out and mist your leaves every day. And I promise you won't get watered again till your pot's dry, at least an inch down in the soil. Okay? Oh, Fern, you're absolute dynamite. You're from Boston, aren't you?
The sound can only be described as otherworldly, but the source is as commonplace as the ground we walk on, the air we breathe. The sound comes from plants, through sensitive electronic devices which translate fluctuations of energy. Some call it a voice. Whatever it is, it raises the astonishing possibility that plants can communicate. If plants can communicate, what are they saying? To whom or what are they talking? And how can we communicate with them?
Rock and roll music, that's what we're going to use.
Okay, well, welcome to Plants Consciousness and Transformation. the interaction between plants and human beings, specifically the psychological and mental interpenetration of these two very different kinds of life forms.
So think of this in terms of your communication with other people, your communication with a friend, say. You have certain ideas about your friend. You have certain ideas about how they are, who they are, what sort of person they are, what sort of mental states they tend to occupy, what sort of habits they tend to have. Yeah? And you expect them somewhat to be like that. Yeah? And then you relate to them in terms of your expectation. You relate to them in terms of your expectation. Oh, so-and-so is always cheerful, or so-and-so is slightly cynical, or so-and-so is slightly grumpy, or this or that. And you relate to people in those terms, rather than relating to them as they currently are in the present, unfolding and changing, right here, right now.
Here we see in cross-section a stoma or pore. Through thousands of such pores, air, with its particles of carbon dioxide gas, enters the plant and makes its way into every living cell. Through these same pores, part of the water drawn from the soil escapes into the air. Enough water is retained, however, to permeate every cell of the leaf.
Let's say you've just begun to get into plants, or that you want to, but don't know the way to go. You must take a positive attitude first. None of this, everything I take home dies. Forget it. From now on, you're going to grow plants. The best advice I can give you in houseplant care is love and intelligent neglect. Follow the basics and let the plants alone to do their own thing. Growing plants is much like raising kids. You have to have certain rules, and you have to be in command.
We began to hear about battered plants. But it's true, there are battered plants. And I don't mean just physical abuse. I'm not talking about strictly the physical abuse of plants. I am talking about psychological abuse. I'm talking about the mental torture that we put plants through day in and day out. For instance, hanging plants. How do we know they aren't scared shitless up there?
Research conducted in the Soviet Union leads scientists to believe that plants may think. Attached to delicate electronic instruments, a cabbage plant registers annoyance to the exhaling of tobacco smoke on its leaf surfaces. A scene familiar in any kitchen takes on special importance in this experiment. In some mysterious way, the plant which is attached to the instrument is able to feel the mutilation of its comrade.
What does this mean? It means that all the plants around us are vibrating and singing all the time.
Well, I call it punk country.
Punk country. I like it.
So?
But I was an engineer, nuts and bolts man. I needed to perfect a machine-based system just for the specific purpose of finding out the truth about consciousness in plants. And to my extreme surprise, it worked. There is indeed a consciousness in the plant kingdom.
The year is 1983, 2,000 tomorrows from now. The world you live in is dramatically different.
Now we have a startling new concept that these simple life forms have been listening, and are listening still.